We are back on Missouri River Bottom for episode 4. I'm BP and we've moved on to November. Last time we harvested all of our fields, completed a few cotton contracts, and expanded our fleet with the new JCB and this nice F450 we have parked up next to the shed. I thought we'd start this episode by picking up a few more beef cattle down at the animal dealer. Between episodes, I did find a third contract. I found a plowing contract near the farm. That's been completed but not collected. We'll circle back on that because there's a little bit more to see and talk about in regards to how that happened. But we did also sell an entire load of straw out of our forage wagon. We weren't able to get all the straw from our soybean field into the forage wagon, so I sold about 5 million liters, which helped fund a couple of things. And the fog this morning is really, really thick. Oh, lost the road a little bit there. I also watched the sorghum prices. We thought maybe they'd go up a little bit early. They were trending up yesterday, but they didn't reach anywhere near their maximum sell price, so it wasn't worth taking that stuff to a sell point, try to cash out, so we did hold on to that stuff. And I think most importantly and most exciting, I did a little testing off stream and did confirm that that grass in our cow pasture is going to grow. At some point this morning, it's going to hit its second growth stage, and very shortly after that, it will appear as meadow grass, which will help start feeding our Angus calves. So that's really good news. Been working on that for a couple of episodes, and glad that's finally coming together. So, I'm not sure this next load of cattle. We want to pick up more Angus. We could pick up some Limousine as well. I like to keep things pretty organized, so maybe we'll just go with more Black Angus and just be a Black Angus farm for a little bit until they grow up and we decide what else we're going to do. Barely see that train out there in the front through all this fog. I'm going to jump out of cab view and just see if we can get a little better view as we head into the animal dealer to pick up a fresh load of cattle. So here we are. Alright, we picked up the Black Angus calves last time, so we could pick up some Limousine. Maybe we should, just so we can keep track of how old they are. Is showing our ones from last round are 2 months old. So yeah, let's pick up 100 of these. Apparently we have one calf still in the trailer. All right, well that's interesting. Well, we'll pick up 99 of those then. They're in the trailer. And let's head back to the farm. So I think the plan for today is to start our winter field preparation. We got to figure out a couple of implements for the fields. We got to figure out how to get our fields cultivated. With doing corn, we're going to have to do some plowing. I do like to mulch for the bonus. There are a couple of multi-purpose tools we could look to pick up. We also need to get a solution installed for the straw on the farm. I showed you guys that silo I want to use. I think once we collect the plowing contract and get these calves dropped off, our first order of business might actually be to check the job postings and see what contracts we can pick up for today. And then let's get that silo put in. I've been looking at a couple of places to put it. I think there's actually a lot of room on the far side of our cold storage shed that would be out of the way, could provide a nice access point for dropping stuff off, put a path in on that side, utilize some of that space, and also have it close to the cow barn. Then, as I said, we'll knock out a couple of contracts, keep our cash inflow coming. We'll check and see if any of our products in the silo need to be sold. We do need to organize a propane delivery for today. We have all that corn in the silo, in the dryer, that is not currently being dried. And I want to make sure that's all done and processed and dried before we hit the maximum price. And then if you remember all the way back on our first episode, the very first contract we did was a rock picking contract. And we still have, I missed my turn here. Oh, don't dump it with the calves in the back. You know, we still have all those stones, and there's a nice lime production mod that maybe we put in conjunction with that silo for the straw, and get those stones out of the stone picker and get some lime going, so as we get through our winter field preparation, we have access to lime as well. And then we'll see what else the day holds. I'd also like to start taking a look and see what we're going to do about our fields. I had an idea when I was collecting the straw from our soybean field. You know, obviously I think if we pause right here and take a quick look, you know, I think we want to combine this little field with that big one. You know, maybe run it down to the workshop, or maybe even all the way down, swing it around the fence behind the workshop and bring it down to the cow fence. But I was looking, and I think if we get a chainsaw, we might be able to take the trees down between this large cornfield and that soybean field. And if the terrain lines up, we could extend all three of our fields. We could actually combine all three of our fields and harvest a lot more corn next season, which I think is going to be one of our primary products. So maybe do a little exploring on that. Maybe worth, you know, maybe we keep the field separate and pick up an additional field. But I feel like because we have that access problem for that lower field now that the cow barn's in, if we just combine all three fields together, we wouldn't have any more access problems and be able to, you know, just harvest this whole area as one big field. So let's swing through here. There's the Deutz with the forage wagon with the remainder of the straw. And there's what we picked up last time, our new JCB. That'll be bringing the straw into the cow barn once we get the silo set up. So we're just about underway for the day. Have to maybe let a little bit of this fog burn off before we do too much more, but let's get these calves dropped off, and for whatever reason, let's make sure we get all of them out of the trailer this time. Don't have any left over for next time. Let's see. Make sure to move this guy over. Move to husbandry. And then we also want to get all 99 of our limousine calves moved over. So that is good to go there. I think we're just going to park this guy over here for now. I am also debating, depending on how the finances go today, picking up a trailer that we can pull with that truck and get rid of our dump truck, because it's been such a nuisance with the silo in our dump truck. All right, so I think it's probably worth showing you guys what happened with our plowing contract. So we sold all that straw and we made a bunch of money, and our Deutz wasn't really up to the task of running that big plow. So with the money we got from, you know, selling the rest of the straw and completing the contracts yesterday, I went ahead and invested in a new tractor. And it's a little bit bigger. It's a nice tractor. I used it for the first time to get this plowing contract done. It did just a great job. It pulls really hard, drives really nice. So you guys meet our new Fendt tractor. So this is going to be our big workhorse on the farm. It is obviously color matched with the rest of our farming implements. We got the BKT wide tires with the weights. Put a front weight on it to help balance it out a little bit. It is modified. I think it's got, let's see what the horsepower is if we get in it. It doesn't say. I think it's got almost 700 horsepower. So this is a really, really nice tractor. Drives really nice. Goes pretty quick so we can get around the map. And as I said, was an absolute workhorse in getting that plowing contract done. Didn't even seem to notice the plow was there. Was able to do the whole thing at about 24 miles an hour. So excited to have this one on the farm. We'll throw some lights on. Maybe just our beacons until we get out of this fog. But this was the big purchase between episodes. And like I said, it's just a nice tractor. All around going to be what we're going to use for all of our big jobs, for planting, for plowing. You know, anything that requires high horsepower in a big tractor, this is going to be able to handle. So let's get this guy back to the farm. And then I think what we'll do is maybe let a little bit of time pass while we look at the contracts. We got to get rid of this fog before we start placing down that silo. So we'll get this guy back, collect the contract money, and then I think we head over and start doing our farm improvements for the day. So let's get him back here. Get everything all parked up again. Give it a quick wash. I think we'll drop the weight over here out of the way. Get everything cleaned up before we put it away. Lower that guy down, detach, turn off our beacons, and get one last look at our new tractor before we head out. So excited to have the Fendt on the farm. All right, let's take a quick look. I'm going to speed up time a little bit while we jump in and look at the contract menu. Oh, that wasn't what we meant to do. Head back this way. So looking at the contract menu, we have that plowing contract. It was $290,000 to plow field 15. So it was a great contract. It popped up at the end of the day. I debated doing, harvesting contract, maybe be able to keep a little bit of wheat or corn or sorghum or whatever else we could harvest. But, for $290,000, we already had the plow. We had the money for the new tractor. It was just it's a great fit. I'm so glad it popped up. So we'll collect that one. We're all set there. As far as new contracts, we don't have a cultivator. There's a couple nice ones, 110, 136. Harvesting, we have some good harvesting contracts, 290K on a corn contract. That is going to be tough to pass up. I think we may jump right on this one and actually take the money from the last contract, go buy the new trailer, sell the dump truck, and get that contract. By the way, I think we're just going to do that one. So we've accepted that contract. Plowing, there's 105, 136, 122. Here's 162,000 for plowing. So we could actually get that guy right back out in the field and going. So that seems like a good option. And then we have 228K for stone picking as well, which would also get us some more stone for that new lime production. So I think those three contracts, let's get equipment out in the field, and then we'll be back at the farm building. It'll be a great fit. So we just accepted the plowing contract for 162. And then where'd that stone picking contract go? Was it field 25? There was no field 15. All right. So our three contracts for November are going to be a corn harvest on 29, plowing on field 7, and stone picking on field 15. I'm going to go ahead and get all those guys set up and come back and meet up with you guys when we're on the farm improvement part of the day, getting those silos put in, getting our productions on the farm so we can produce lime, we can produce TMR, slurry, fertilizer, seed, and also handle some of those loose products we have laying around. So I'll meet you guys up here in a little bit. We're back. So I got the harvester started on this field first, and it's so big that in the time it took me to drive down to the shop, buy our new underbelly trailer, get the stone picking contract started, and get the plowing contract started, he hasn't made it all the way back around yet. We may have taken on a bigger contract than we're prepared for. But we'll get through it. We'll see how it goes. So let's get this guy pulled onto the field. This is going to be our new hauling setup. It'll replace the dump truck. It'll work so much better with those tip points. This is the Wilson dual hopper trailer. It is, as you can see, and as always, painted to match. It looks really clean with this the semi-tractor in front. It also has an upgraded modded capacity, so each hopper holds 500,000 liters, so the trailer holds 1,000,000 liters total, and that's going to get us a lot on these larger fields, so I'm excited to have that as part of our fleet. We'll make sure that he's got everything set up. We want his field work speed up because he's got to get around the field quickly to find the harvester when it calls. Get its turn speed up. It needs to reverse. Alright, then we will find the field here. I'm hoping that's not rain. That put a big damper on our day. Nope, just the wind and the trees. And let's get him here to support the combine. Make sure he kicks over. The vehicle should turn off when he's sort of set into his course and is waiting to be called. So there we go. He should be all good there. Let's take a quick look and just see if we can find the combine. So we're down here at the bottom right corner of field 29. And the combine, as you can see, is just coming across the top. So this is the field. It is absolutely massive. It is 194 acres and would cost $4.7 million to buy. That might be the biggest field on the map. If it's not, it's pretty close. I think that is the biggest map, or the biggest field on the map. You can also see we have our plowing contract going on down here on field 7. And our stone picking just above that on field 15. Stone picker's making his way around the outside. The plow seems to have done a pretty good job. It's on its inland passes now, so it should be all set and good to go. And now it's time to head back to the farm and do a little bit. I wonder if these doors open to the outside. Nope, I don't want to sleep. All right, we'll just go out the normal way. We can get around all the furniture. Guests feel pretty safe on the farm. Leave our front door open when we're not around. So, the area I was talking about for putting in that silo is over here. So we have our exit put in already for our big shed here. And I'm thinking somewhere in this grass field here we could put just the general sort of silo that has a bit of farm productions and also the lime one as well. We could link it up over here somewhere so we could actually pick things up and come right in here with the JCB and that Flegel trailer. And then we'd have a looping course that would come out on this side and run back across the front and give us a good working path to get that stuff in and out. If you look at it from this side, you can see it's pretty high over there by the shed. And I'm not sure if we want to put the silos over there on the high side or if we should work them in down low on the low side. Part of me wants to put them up on the right-hand side, up by the shed, maybe up by those trees, just so that we have some more working room down on the left to do stuff later. I also think that ties in well. We could use part of or even all of this drive here coming across. So let's jump into the construction menu and see, what we can get to make happen here. think most importantly, we're going to need to start with is getting this level. I think that's going to be the most critical part. So if we work off of the road height here, just bring it across and create a little bit of a drive and an area where we can put our silos. And I don't mind if there's a little bit of a ramp up to the side of the barn. That's not a big deal. We can work with that. So I think that initial silo, how far is it going to stick out? It could go right there. And then we could put the lime production just a bit past that. We did it here. It's going to clip those trees. Let's try to get an angle where we can see. Yeah, I don't think the flat area is wide enough yet. So let's extend that out just a bit more. Try to flatten in through here and bring this out maybe one more pass. Now if we come back, we grab that silo. We slide it out just a little bit, give us a little bit of room. Let's take a look. Let's hit that with a quick soften before we jump out and take a look. But let's just make sure, because we'll put our path in right across there. Let's take a look and see how that fits. Yeah, so we got a little bit of a ramp up there. I'm not worried about that. This fits very nicely. Yeah, so we're just pushed up against those trees, but we can landscape that in. Won't be a big deal. So the other one we want to put in is actually a production. And it is a lime production. And I like it because it just makes lime, and it makes lime quickly. It's this one right here. So lining up the trigger points looks to be right about there. So we'll put that in there. Now we've got to landscape everything in. Let's start with getting those edges softened up. We want everything to blend in when we're done. I think the area behind may be a bit of a lost cause, but we'll get some grass and stuff in there and make that look nice. I think we may actually have to move our character out of the way to get that corner to soften. So, put him up here. Head back in. Soften this corner here. Let's get that whole edge nice and clean. Then we come in and grab some gravel. I think if we bring this right through here, I think that's looking pretty good. That might just line right up here. That's not bad at all. Does seem like we might need to soften a little bit more on this edge over here. Smooth that out a little bit. And now if we come back with a bit of grass, and fill in all the spots we flattened out. I think that also applies to the areas in here. Get in with a little smaller brush to get this detail stuff in. I think all of this we want to just blend in. And what's it look like on this side? Down here again, and I think we blend all of that in again. Even underneath the silo here. Again, we want things to look like they've been here for a while. And at this point, we can zoom out a bit. That gives us a nice spot over here, just past a lime. If we wanted to put another production or a silo or something there, we could. I think we do want to come back here and find something just to anchor that corner a little bit. A couple of these in through here as well. And then maybe something a little bit bigger, something that stands up a little bit. All right, excellent. And I think if we're going to do that, then maybe we throw a couple in here as well. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. Looks pretty good. We have a good smooth transition from here. Like that we've got the grates are pretty flat. This worked out well. We can come right down in here. All right, I think it's time to do a little bit of work with our new silo. Get our JCB up and connected. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the parking brake is on, and that's enter on the keyboard. It gets me every once in a while, and I always forget what key it is to get the parking brake off. So let's connect up here and grab the straw we have. So this is what we got after we sold a full trailer load to the bale sales last episode. So we have 765,000 liters. We're in pretty good shape there. I did, when we bought this tractor, we couldn't afford to get the larger motor. We were like 175 horsepower. I did bump it up to 235 with some of that contract money, so it's going to pull this stuff just fine, no problem. We'll get the empty trigger here. And that's all she wrote. So now, because of the work we did earlier, we should be able to just park this trailer up. And if you remember, we set the parking spot to the trailer, not to the tractor, so we can connect this to any vehicle and hit park, and it should take us to the parking spot. Now, we haven't done an auto drive route. Well, missed something here. Haven't done an auto drive route through the new section of the farm back there. We just put the silos in, so we'll have to get this guy back out to the routes we already have established. You should be able to figure it out pretty quick. Alright, let's try that again. Let's get you parked up. Let's see how this goes this time. Yeah, he should be back on track. So once we get him parked up, we'll check in on our contracts. They seem to be progressing quite well. We'll also grab that Flegel trailer, run it down to the barn, and put some straw in so we can actually get something out of that manure heap, which will be great. It's also nice to have some bedding in there for the calves. They'll appreciate that along with their meadow grass. Speaking of meadow grass, we should jump in, and there we go, 124,350 liters of meadow grass. So in addition to the parking that we have all lined up here, we can jump out. Let's disconnect here. We'll go to quick wash. Turn it off. Let's jump out. I want to go see the grass. So here we are. Yeah, there we go. It grew in nicely. So they'll be able to eat that down. They still have 84,000 liters of hay that we gave them at the end of last episode because we didn't want them to go any longer without any food. But they're well and truly established. They should be good for winter now. They can just keep existing. And, you know, we have just under 200 cattle. So maybe we even pick up another load here, you know, maybe early in December when we're getting going, we pick up another load, and then we'll have 300 cattle coming out of winter. We'll watch their price, and that'll be a nice bump in the spring. I think with the contracts we have going today, we should probably put a pretty big chunk of that towards the at least one of the loans. If you remember, we started the series with $1 million loan. It was actually $1.5 million. We spent $1 million buying the property, and then we had $500,000 in liquid cash from that loan. We burned through that pretty quickly, and then we took out a $250,000 loan on top of that. So we have $1.75 million out. Our monthly due is $38,651, so almost 40 grand. You know, it might be nice. There's only $219,000 left on the small loan. Maybe we pay that one off at the end here, because we got a couple of contracts in the $200,000 range. We could pretty much just take one of those contracts and just put it directly towards that loan, and that would alleviate almost $11,000 a month in expenses. We'd stop accruing interest on it, and then we'd be able to focus on our big loan to get that down as well. But we'll figure that out as we go. So here we go, heading over to the new silo production setup. Gonna grab some straw and take it down to our cows. Give them a little bit of bedding. And let's see how we did here. Oh, I bet we're not far enough over. I have to be a little tighter on this one. That's the other nice thing about the JCB with the four-wheel steer and the narrow tires. It's easy just to adjust things. Great, so we can get straw right off the rip. You remember our Flegel has 100,000 liter capacity. So we are full. Let's head down the road here. And we're going to just keep our fingers crossed that we slide right into the barn without catching the Flegel. Oh yeah, right in without a problem. Get in here, and let's get an angle where we can see. Yeah, that is absolutely great. So I'm wondering if now, while these contracts are running, if we should just take a minute and set up that auto drive course for the cattle loop, the one we're doing right now, so that we can get this guy set up on, you know, to automate the hay and the grass and the straw just a little bit, and also get that loop put in for the silo. So maybe we'll go back and grab that silo, add it to a loop here real quick. Have to figure out what our existing course is and how that works. And we're pretty close to being done with the plowing contract and making good progress on that stone picking. I think we are just going to be in for the long haul with the corn harvest. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what our course looks like. If I remember correctly, yeah, these are one-way heading in, so we're gonna have to make these two-way, and this one as well. Now we should be able to get back on this route. I think we just slide a new course in right about here. We don't want a secondary course, we want a two-way course. Before we get that one lined up. See what we got here. Get rid of that initial two-way course I dropped accidentally. Maybe even swing this guy out a little bit. Okay, that seems to be doing what we want it to do. I think the next waypoint here we'll label. Here's a little trick when you're doing auto drive. You know, I clicked to label that waypoint so I could have a spot for the tractor to stop and fill, and it obviously triggered the silo because the trailer's on the trigger. So you just disconnect your trailer real quick, and then you can click in and grab your waypoint and label, and then just reconnect and continue on your way. So this is going to be farm, production, silo. Let's reconnect here, pull up a little bit more. I think we got to get one more. Yep, that'll do it. Label this one line production rate. I think we can stop there and just connect to the existing network we already have. I don't know if we actually want that to be two-way. Maybe we make this one just one way. Is there any reason? No, because then the triggers would line up. Yeah, we definitely want that to, we want to come in the direction we're headed. I think leaving that as a one-way there is going to be the best option. Alright, now, this is going to be a one-way loop. And I think we're actually going to make it a secondary loop. I think we just go one way. I don't think there's any reason anyone would be on it if it wasn't. We're coming down here, so we don't need to make it a secondary. I want to clean up that connection just a little bit. Line that one up there, and then for coming back, we are good to go there. Want to make sure we label this one. Cow barn feed and straw. Drop out here. Careful not to hit the fence. And right now we'll leave this as just a return loop. I think eventually we put another loop in here for the silage. I'm sorry, for the slurry, for the milk, and then we have a waypoint here. We could actually probably put this one in. Let's see if we can get one more. Oh, that may be it. Okay, so we'll put one in for the manure later. I also want this one to be able to come out this way in case he has to come back in. Good to go there. And maybe we see if we can't grab this waypoint right in here, the one right underneath the front wheels of the tractor, and make that cow barn manure. Not sure we're close enough for the trigger, but we will find out. So now, the thought is, we have this guy all set up. So if I set him up to grab straw, we can fill that barn up pretty good. And let's set him to go. Let's put 500,000 liters. And we already put one, so that'll leave us 150. Let's see if he can just make this loop on his own. Oh, and here we are using a secondary course, which we Try not to do. Luckily, there's no one in it. Otherwise, it'd be a bit of a challenge. It does look like our plowing contract just wrapped up, which is great news. Here we are approaching the trigger point. It slows down and knows it's looking for the trigger point. Let's see if we got close enough. We did. That's great. So there's 100,000 liters of straw coming in. I am not sure where he is going. Why are we going back that way? Something's not right with the course. Let's take a look. Did we connect the one on the end wrong? Because he should have zipped straight down there and kept on going. And delivered our straw right to the barn. Yep, this one got connected backwards. So we'll disconnect this one. That's the one way, the correct way now. Did want it, well, we just got to click the wrong way. Okay, so now back on track. Turn the waypoints off. I guess we barely make it in the barn. There's another 100,000 straw in the cow barn for bedding. He's looping on his own. May have to take his repeat down to 4 since we interrupted the first one. May not have counted. This is exactly why we wanted this little JCB 4000. Great tractor, the 4-wheel steer. This guy's just cruising along. He'll be driving around the farmyard in circles all day, but it'll be the perfect tractor to do it. He's got his routes down, can make all of his corners. We're just going to make sure that he gets back to fill point and proceeds from there, and then we know the loop is good and he can just run. We don't have to watch him anymore. We can go grab our plowing tractor, our new Fendt that we picked up, and get that brought back to the farm and check in on our stone picking, and probably should do a little monitoring of our harvesting contract for that corn. I suspect our truck's going to have to be emptied at some point, and we didn't set that up, so we'll have to watch and make sure we're still making progress on that contract. So he fills up and he heads right on over the way he's supposed to go. So that's great. We'll let him get some work done and let him keep driving and doing his thing just like we taught him how to do. And we will head over. And I'm thinking real quick while we're here, we may set up the course for the propane, because we need a propane delivery today. So let's jump in here. Let's disconnect the trailer. Put the tailgate down so we don't damage anything coming out. Great. Tailgate back up. Alright, and our propane fill point should be just over here. So we have a couple of options. We could have a course that backs up into that, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. I think that's what we might do, just have him back up until he gets to that propane fill point. So we will create a course. We're going to want a secondary course so that no one else uses it unless they have to. When you have a course with a reverse to a fill point like this, you want to give them lots and lots of room to get straight. The AI drivers are pretty good once they get set up, but they need some room to get straight. They don't ever seem to quite get straight right off the bat. So we back up through here. apparently it doesn't want to let us do a secondary course. Well, let's try that again. Get rid of that guy. Maybe we'll just connect from here. Alright. Apparently it doesn't want to let us do a reverse course on the secondary. So you want to back up until your bumper hits that trigger, which is that one right there. And then you want to pull forward and get one waypoint going forward to reconnect on your way out. So we'll stop here, back up, and we need to label this guy. And then we need to take this guy. I like to separate my forward and reverse tracks just a little bit. Let's get him angled over here so this guy can go whichever way he wants. Verify that this one down here is connected. Sure looks like it is. Alright, so if all of that has gone according to plan, we can put this guy in the shop. Haven't sold the dump truck yet. May hold on to it and just see if we get some use out of it. May hold on to it and sell it a little bit later, or we might just sell it at the end of the episode. Haven't decided yet. If there's a good use for it, it's not a bad truck, but just can't have it clipping everything all the time. So, if you remember in last episode, we bought and were reimbursed for the co-op propane truck. So this guy right here. And the idea was we didn't want to spend the money and have either a dedicated propane trailer or this truck. We just wouldn't use it that much. Maybe once a season, maybe once every other season, but just not a piece of equipment we really wanted to own. So we bought it and then were reimbursed, and it exists for the co-op, for everyone on the map to use. You grab it, you fill it, you pay for the propane, and it's part of the charge for the propane is they'll deliver it to you as well. So we'll get in this guy real quick. Get him turned on. And let's see if we can't get filled up here. Oh, he's filling up right now. Great. The money's going down. Exactly what we want. And over here, I can set him up for the propane. Farm silo propane in. And we need propane delivered. Let's continue to have him fill up. We know we're going to have to do 2 loops. It's 150. Well, let's just do one. So we have 150,000 liter capacity in the silo. This truck has 150,000 or 100,000 liter capacity. So we could take like 1.5 loads. Maybe we get 100 and see how much that gets us through. We have in the silo right now. Let's see, how much corn do we have? We have 626,000 liters. It's a 6 million capacity. So it seems like in dry corn uses 500 corn for 12 propane. So you're not using a whole lot. So maybe 100,000 will get us there. We'll sort of let it run and see what happens. So once this guy's filled up, we will send him on his way. I may put his journey on a time lapse if he, and see how our course play or our auto drive course works. See if we can get him over and back without me interfering or anything else. It'd be great to have all these networks connected and be good to go. So once he's filled up, we'll set him off and we'll time lapse it, and we'll see if we make it from here all the way to the farm and back without me having to intervene with anything. that worked great. It was funny that the truck picked up the trigger on its way through. It didn't look like it needed a backup. I think we may have overcomplicated the course a bit, but that was exactly how we wanted that to work. So in the future, we can just come over here, set him on auto drive, have him fill up, and he will do all the work for us. So that is excellent. Love when things work out. I saw that while we were on the time lapse, the stone picking contract wrapped up, so we've completed the plowing contract for today and the stone picking contract. We should go check in on the harvester and the truck, which apparently one of them is in field 28. That doesn't look so great. Let's take a look and see what he's doing over here. What's your plan here, friend? He appears to be lost. Let's go get him unlost. So he's half full. Got 500,000 liters in the front hopper. The contract's just about a third done with the actual harvesting part, and then we have to do the delivery part. So it'll probably take, oh, probably 2 trips, maybe even a third, depending on how much we get to keep. Not sure how this guy ended up in the field over here, but still not as lost as that cotton harvester we had last episode that was driving in our soybeans on the other side of the map. So let's go find the harvester, get them unloaded, because it does look like they're full. Get them back to work, and then maybe we'll jump over and we will collect the Fendt and the Deutz and get them back to the farm after they've completed their contracts. Okay. Let's see if we can get this done in one swing. Remember, the corn header is not as wide as the grain header, so you gotta swing out a little bit. Did I get far enough over? Nope. No, I did not. Okay, this should be the swing. Get him where he needs to be. Get the corn offloaded. Perfect. Once he's done emptying, we'll pull the truck away and see if we can get it set back on unloading and keep it on this field. Should have another, oh, maybe 1, maybe 2 more empties before we have to go take this stuff to the silo. I'm not even sure where this stuff goes. I don't remember. Let's take a quick look here. So the plowing contract, 162,000. We can collect that. Great, done. Collected the stone picking contract. 228,000. I know we got a lot of stones. I was watching the harvester volume, or the stone picker volume fill level, as it was going around, and I think we're going to have quite a bit of lime, which will be great on the farm as well. So we'll go ahead and collect that, and then we're just working on our 3rd contract for the day, and we should be in good shape. So this guy here, unload combine. Let's see if he takes this course, see if he turns off. He does. Well, I almost wonder if, because the front half was full, if he was trying to adjust and just backed right off the field or something silly. It's like when that cotton harvester had that bale and wasn't unloading. That created problems as well. The workers, they're so much better in Farm Sim 25 than they were in Farm Sim 22, but they still just can't be trusted. So let's jump in the Deutz, which was on the stone picker. We have 161,000 liters. So here's the real test. Can we get this guy to empty the stones and park up when he's done? So we set him to fill, we can always skip the first step. So we want him to empty at the lime production. We want him to empty stones. We want him to fill at his parking spot. If we set that up correctly, he will end up at his parking spot. So we just click over to the next part of it. So this will empty first, and then should go to the parking spot, and we should have stones in our lime production and one step closer to being ready for some winter field work. We have $430,000, and I was doing a little looking in the sale while we were running around and doing the time lapse and everything else. And there is, I mentioned this morning, and it seems like it's just popping up because I keep talking about it. There is a cultivator that is a multi-tool. So it's a cultivator, a plow, and a mulcher all in one in the sale. We'll take a look at that once we get this guy back, but that would be a huge pickup and put us in good spot for our winter field work. So for right now, let's get this guy back. I may drive him back just because we don't have a course down here yet. What field? This was field 7, correct? Yeah, we're at field 7. Let's drop a waypoint down at the bottom of the map here. Jump into some in-cab driving. Oh, that's not good with the markers. We'll stay out of cab for this one. And we'll get this connected up to the course we have that goes down by the store. And that way we can get our vehicles moving around the map more effectively and have pretty much at this point the majority of the map covered. We can get our equipment close to just about any destination, which is so much better than having to drive all over the map. When you pick up contracts, you buy a field. So we're just flushing out the last bits of our auto drive network and should be in good shape here to be able to move around the map very effectively. So right up here, we should be able to link back in. That's excellent news. We'll go ahead and stop our route right there. And let's just connect up the routes we have. We also want to be able to turn here. I'll go to there. If anyone knows how to connect a corner like that and make it a two-way route from the start, please let me know in the comments down below. I've been looking for a full list of auto drive hotkeys for a long time and have a lot of them, but don't have all of them. And it'd be really great to not have to set the course and then go back and reconnect it the other way every time. But I can't figure out any combination of hotkeys I'm aware of that will make that happen. So if you know about it, please leave me a comment down below. It'd be much appreciated and would certainly help us, you know, keep things moving right along. So this guy's headed back to the farm. Once we get back there, we're pretty much just going to be managing the harvesting contract for the rest of the episode. You know what? While he's doing this, let's take a look at that sale item that I was telling you guys about. So the sale did reset. It's right here. The Bednar. This is the Swifter Disc MPC. And this mod, it's great. So it's really nice. This is the second version that's come out, or the second, it's been updated since it came out initially for Farm Sim 25. It has the ability not only to do all three of those things, but on the fly, without going into the workshop, you have the ability to switch between plowing, cultivating, and mulching, and any combination thereof. So if you pick up this mod and you're trying to figure out how it works, it took me a minute because when it was in the shop, you just opened the mobile shop, you went in, you switched its functionality, and you came back out and it did that one thing as long as it was in that mode. Now you can switch it on the fly. So you actually hook it up to your tractor, and there's no hotkey available to switch its function when it's folded. You have to take it, unfold it, and then its Control Y will actually get you to switch its functionality on the fly. So you can pull up to a field and you want to just plow, you can plow. You want to mulch, you can mulch. If you want to mulch and cultivate, you can do that. And no need for a shop to do that anymore. So this is a great mod. we're going to go ahead and pick this one up. We'll have it at the shop waiting for us. I don't know that we'll pick it up today, but I didn't want to miss it since we did come into a little bit of money there. Couple other things in here that looked interesting. You know, we do have the Walker food grade trailer, which if we were doing milk cows, that'd be a good one. Holds just under 250,000 liters of milk. Have to have a lot of cows for it to need something that big, but it would hook up to our TLX Phoenix, which would be a great fit. 9RX is always a great tractor. Don't know we need anything that big, particularly since we just got the big modified Fendt. And then we have the forage harvester here, you know, which is interesting. If we got into cows and we want to pick up like a forage head or something like the John Deere here and the Kloss Jaguar, we could do chaff out of the corn, and that silo we put in, that production silo, the farm production silo we put in earlier, will do chaff to silage and then silage to TMR. So there's some options. I don't know if there's anything we want to pick up today, but it is definitely, it's good to have some new stuff in the sale and stay on top of it. So, oh, and he made it back to the farm while we were doing all that, so that's great. We'll get him parked up. And then we should head back over and check in on our corn harvest, because that is going to be pretty much what takes the rest of the day for us. I think that field's going to be pretty big. Maybe we even jump over there and once I get the truck emptied for his first round, maybe we put the harvester on a time lapse. We'll have to take a look and see how that works with emptying and getting stuff to the silo. We should also check and see which silo we're taking that. So I don't know if we're taking it to Phelps or Viterra. Let's get this guy over here. Disconnect the plow. Great. So he's parked up. I'm not sure that's going to be the Fendt's long-term parking spot, but for right now he's doing a lot of plowing. I think that's a good spot for him to be. Our stone picker is not parked, which means it didn't make it through. Let's see what happened here. So it made it to its destination. It did not empty, so do we just not get far enough up to get the trigger? I wonder if this waypoint is just a couple feet too far up. It doesn't seem to be. Well, let's see what we have here. Huh. We're not getting the trigger to empty. That's a new one. Do we need to get closer? Okay, perhaps come from the other side. It's going to be interesting if we put it down and it isn't working. I haven't had this problem with this mod in the past. Huh. Does seem like it's just not catching the trigger. Well, real quick, while we have the guy here, let's jump into the construction menu and see about maybe we just sell it real quick and drop another one and see if maybe it was ground deformation, if the trigger just wasn't catching properly. See what it thinks it needs to do to put a new one down. So we go here, get it nicely squared up. Yeah, it's got a little bit of flattening that it wants to do. I don't think anything too serious. You do want to smooth this out a little bit. Maybe that'll help the trigger be in a better spot. May as well grab some grass while we're here and just fill in. Fix our work from last time. Okay. I'm going to turn the Deutz around and set it just to empty and see if that is enough to get it to empty this time. So here we go. We should be back on track. Nope, I want to go that way. We want to get you nosed over here. 161,000 liters of rock should be good to get the lime production going. And can't forget to turn on the corn dryer either. So there's the lime production waypoint. And once again, it just didn't find it. That's very odd. Well, may have to mess with that at another time, maybe off camera. See what we can get. But for right now, we'll throw this guy into a parking spot. We should, real quick, while we're here, take a look. So we have our lime mill here, which we can't get anything into. We do have our multi-production here that is good. We put in our straw. We have 165,000 liters left. As I said earlier, you can make chaff, you can make silage, you can make corn, you can make seed from corn, liquid fertilizer, solid fertilizer, hay, herbicide, lime. I like the lime recipe in the lime mill better, but we could always use this one. This one does require water. Yeah, I remember correctly. We have to get a water tender to do that. And then it comes down and has a couple recipes for total mix ration. Over here, we should get our corn drying. So as you can see, we have our 100,000 liters of propane and our 626,000 liters of corn. We use a time-saving stock check. You know, we have a couple of things that are getting a little bit close. We have a lot of things that are going to be best sell price in January, which means we're probably looking towards the end of the day in December to sell those. And then we have soybeans, which won't be at their peak price until next summer. So we'll just store those for the winter and take them there. So let's jump back over and check in on our truck. Our truck is full, which is good news. Where are we taking this corn? So it is going to Viterra. So let's go ahead and check our map here real quick. Field 29. We want to fill at 29. We want to empty at the buy sell point of Viterra, and we're taking corn today. Do we have, that is not set up, so we can quickly unload, and then we should be able to set that on course play, and hopefully it will run down and do everything we need. Harvester is still filling with corn. It's about a little under halfway before it calls the truck to empty. You're not making that right hand turn around that post, buddy. That was the wrong choice. Let's give him a helping hand here with some super strength. And let's see how he does. Maybe we'll time-lapse this journey instead of time-lapsing the harvest, but we'll see if he can make it down. He should be on course point now. If he can make it down to the Viterra by sell point, drop off the corn, and then come back and keep emptying. So I'll check in with you guys either when he gets off course or when we get back to the field. Once again, auto drive and course play working together seamlessly. When these things come together, it's great. It can be very frustrating when they don't, but today we've had a great amount of success. This truck just went and jumped over using the course play aspect of auto drive, went down, unloaded without me having to do anything, made its way back to the field, switched back over to course play, and is now coming in to empty the harvester. So this is fully automated for this contract. This is great. I'm going to go ahead and just stay on top of these guys as they wrap up this contract and I will be back with you guys to check in at the end once this contract is completed to wrap up the episode. Well, guys, it took a long time, but we finally finished the harvesting contract on field 29. I've got the Fendt with the forage wagon picking up a few more rows of straw, and then we'll be all done. But before we end this episode, I wanted to get back to you guys about the final outcome. We did end up with 471 liters of corn, even after we delivered it all to the Viterra grain mill, so we're in good shape there. I did get the lime production figured out. I got the stones emptied into there. It just took resetting the stone picker, not a big deal. And before we head out, we have the funds to make our first big step towards getting out of debt. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pay off the small loan that we have. So with that, let's make sure that we are on the right loan. All right, 219,197 special redemption. 219,197. Now we'll make it 198. Make special payment. And we have our very first loan paid off. So we still have our big loan, $1.5 million on the balance on that one. I guess it's 1.429. We made a couple payments on it, but our $250,000 loan that we took out for equipment has been paid back. And so we are well on our way to getting out of debt and owning all of our farm equipment, everything outright. So thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to drop a like and turn on notifications for more videos, and we'll see you in the next one.